Hey guys, it is Mike from Baltimore Rides here. Friday, October 20th, about 2:45 in the afternoon. And I'm driving my car, and yes, I am back online. It was a stressful 24 hours, I'm not gonna lie, guys, but here's kind of what happened. So, from last night, I got one of my side mirrors taken off, the driver's side mirror. Luckily, that was the only damage to the vehicle. And literally what happened is the mirror itself was fine. The little retaining clip that allows it to swivel kind of close to the door when you're parked, that little piece that allows those two things to swivel broke, the little plastic ring. So other than that, the mirror is perfectly intact. So me being the Boy Scout goody two-shoes that I am, I of course called Uber to notify them last night, assuming that's the right thing to do and I should be on the up and up. Lesson learned. And within minutes they deactivate my account temporarily while there's this investigation process. So send them pictures, fill out the form, blah blah blah. This morning, go to the junkyard, no luck, because it's a 2016. It's hard to find parts for cars that are a year or two old in a junkyard. Most junkyard vehicles are like in the 10 years old range. 7 to 10 year old cars. So I was shooting for a wing and a prayer, hoping that I could find something. No luck at 2 different junkyards. I called the Hyundai dealerships around me, and they wanted a ridiculous $330 for a brand new side mirror, whole assembly. They wouldn't sell me the internal components separately. And I said, okay, screw this. So I pull over to the side of the road in a nice shady spot, take out my tools, take the whole assembly off my door, take it apart, and I see the little plastic piece that's broken. Drive over to the Home Depot, buy some epoxy, some marine grade epoxy, and glue the piece back together, stick the mirror back on my door, and there you go. So I take the pictures of everything fixed, and I send them to Uber, and nothing happens. Yeah. I call Uber support, and they're like, oh, it can take 24 to 48 hours to go through the review process to get you back online. And that's about the point where I went from being really nice, easygoing, happy-go-lucky Mike to being really super frustrated and not so happy Mike. And I was very vocal, and I used some words that I don't normally use, expressing my frustration that they took me offline so quickly. They should be able to get me back up online just as quickly. And the guy assured me that it would be, it's usually about an hour or less. They review things very quickly, but that's just kind of our standard textbook answer. And at that point, my blood pressure was through the roof. I felt like I was, going to stroke out. My head was I had such a stress headache this morning from that nonsense, dealing with them on the phone. And I was like, okay, Mike, cool off. You've been walking around junkyards all morning. You're hot, you're sweaty. Go inside, take a shower, get something to eat, make a cup of tea, and give it about an hour. So I do all that. Little message pops up on my Uber dashboard. You're back online. Everything is resolved. So, the lesson learned is this. And I ordered a brand new mirror, but it's going to take a few days to come in, because I know that I glued that part and it's going to hold for a while, but it's never going to be as strong as the original. And obviously with the bumps and everything on the road, I'm just I'm worried that it'll, even though it's 2-part epoxy and it's marine grade, which is really strong, might not last. So I ordered one on eBay, a 2016 part. It's fine. It's an actual factory part for like $70, but it'll take a few days. It would probably take 4 or 5 business days to get here. So, but this should hold me in the meantime. But the lesson learned here, guys, and this is a really important lesson. If something really minor happens to your vehicle, don't call them right away. If it's a fixable item like a side mirror, or if it's just a scratch, don't call them right away. Because, if you know it's going to be, minor, or it's going to be a really, really insignificant kind of scratch or ding, that's not worth your insurance or the deductible or any of that nonsense, or it's not something safety related that's going to prevent you from driving, don't. Wait till the next morning, see what the deal is, see if it's something you can fix easy. If you're mechanically comfortable like I am and you want to try and fix it yourself, do it. If not, and you're going to have to take it somewhere to get it fixed, then that's different. But the minute you tell them I've been in an accident, irregardless of the scale of the accident, how minor, how big, they just turn you off temporarily while they basically wait for before and after pictures of, your car. And I understand completely why they do that. I do. I get it. But I learned my lesson that if this was something that was an easily fixed item like it was, I should have just kept my mouth shut, fixed it this morning, and went on with life and not put myself through the headache I put myself through. It isn't easy to drive without a driver's side mirror. I learned that lesson today just driving around to the junkyard looking for one. You get used to using that side mirror to check your blind spot. And it's not easy. Once you're used to driving with side mirrors, it is not easy to not have one. But, for something that's minor, just fix it and go on with life. Because Uber moves at their pace. And sometimes that's quick. Like last night when I told them, what happened. Sometimes it's not so quick, like this afternoon. And if I had not been the squeaky wheel and very vocal, calling and sending messages through the app, they probably would have just taken their sweet old time. And that's my income that suffers, not theirs. So that's kind of the lesson here is I'm not saying don't report stuff if something serious happens. If you're in a real accident, where you hurt someone or you hit another car or another car hits you, and it's an insurance type issue where you got to fix things, that's different. Do the right thing, get everybody's documentation. But if it's just something stupid like this, that you can just patch it up yourself in the next day, then do that. Lesson learned. Because I've seen, and I was thinking about this today while I was driving home from the junkyard. I've seen a lot of Uber cars with body damage. Yeah, a lot. So that tells me one of two things. It tells me that either those drivers already had body damage and their car got approved, or they got little minor dings and dents and they just never told Uber. And if it's not structural or something that's safety related, then it's probably not going to come up on safety inspection when they re-inspect in a year's time. So, less is more when it comes to stuff that's not safety related. And that's the bottom line here. So, lost a day of business. I'm in the hole at this point, but the good news is Uber gave us a very generous Quest goal for this weekend. 65 trips, $195. Their biggest yet for the 3-day weekend. I don't know if there's a reason behind that dollar amount, if they feel like there's going to be a lot of people moving around on foot. I don't think there's any really significant events going on. Baseball's over. The Skins have a game this weekend, but I think it's on the road. I think the Capitals are done. They might be on the road at this point. And, the Guns N' Roses concert is over. That was last night, which I missed. So I'm not really sure what the big stuff is in the city that could be drawing them to incentivize us to get on the road that much. We will have to just wait and see when we get down there. So, that's that. And then just kind of one last little thing I wanted to talk about. Because I was driving local last night, for the little bit of time I got, I kind of repeated my old routine of starting in the city. I didn't even set my destination for anything. I just drove down into the city, and the very first trip I got took me from Johns Hopkins to the airport. Ironic, isn't it? That's what I used to do. And so I get this airport trip, I drop off, I figure, okay, let me go over to the queue. It's only at 40 something, and maybe I'll get a trip out of there pretty quick. So, a lot of the same familiar faces that I used to communicate with are there. And I park, I get out, I say hi to everybody, and a couple people are asking me, how I'm doing and where I've been, and we're kind of making small talk. And somebody, I don't know who it was, I want to say it was the Lyft rep who was there driving, the Baltimore Lyft rep. I think his name's Tim, or somebody else was saying something about how, somebody, what happened, because the queue was really long last night, which I wasn't there the night before, Wednesday, but they were telling me that Wednesday night there was 100 plus cars at the airport, and somebody said something about, oh, well, Mike made a video and told everybody to come work the airport. And I just shook my head and went back and sat in my car. I'll be honest, because, I'm tired of defending myself. If not everybody, if you haven't really watched my videos and you don't really know what my message is on these videos, then you shouldn't really speak about what I am doing or am not doing. And I was talking to Amir. He's one of the guys that I really like, actually. He's a really nice guy. And he said to me, how are you doing? How's the family? And I asked him how he's doing, how his kids were doing. And, he had seen the article that Gridwise did on me. And, and I'm modest about this stuff. Like, I get nervous when people say, like, oh, I saw your Gridwise article. I'm like, oh, yeah. I don't know what to say to that. I'm not trying to be a celebrity or anything. I'm just trying to help people. But I said to him, I'm like, not everybody gets it. I'm just trying to help people. And he said, just keep doing what you're doing, Mike. People appreciate it out there. You may not always know it, but people appreciate it. And then 5 minutes later, a couple other people make a kind of an off-key comment about that. And maybe I'm just too sensitive about what I'm doing, because I feel like what I'm doing is different, or unorthodox, or, whatever. But I'm very protective of this. I really am, because I'm really trying to help people. And I really think it's important. And when people basically misrepresent what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, that's that side of you that wants to protect yourself maybe, comes out. And I didn't really want to get into a discussion or argument or to feel like I needed to be on the defensive. So I just kind of shook my head and I just got up and sat in my car. And the queue didn't really move. So, when the queue had only dropped like 10 or 20 cars in 30 minutes, I said, screw this, and made the decision to drive to Baltimore. And that was, of course, where I got a couple trips, and then I got my side mirror busted off. So fate was just not on my side yesterday. But that stuff happens. 2,000 plus trips. The only thing that's, I can say is I've lost a side mirror. I'm grateful for that. Those are great odds. I haven't been in any, serious accidents. I haven't had any serious moving violations. I got that one stupid ticket that I go to court for next month from Montgomery County. I had that ridiculous parking ticket, Wendy's fiasco that I resolved, that went away. But that's pretty good record considering the amount of miles I've driven in 6 months. That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of miles. So I'm not I'm not too stressed out about it. It's stressful in the moment when they take you offline and you can't earn a living until you get this stuff fixed. That's a very stressful feeling, guys. Somebody the other day was telling me about how their background check flagged something, weird from, the ancient past, and they had to resolve it and they couldn't go back online until they fixed it. And I can only imagine what that felt like, but it probably felt a lot like how I was feeling last night and this morning, where you feel powerless. You feel like, what do I do? And you try and remain as calm as you can. I'm not going to say I'm the best at that, guys. I'm not. I'm a very impatient person in a lot of ways. I'm the guy that orders something online and then freaks out when it doesn't get delivered right away. I just am. I'm very impatient. But when your living is affected, then you take it seriously, and I very much do. I've got a family to support, and this car, is basically the key to my income. If the car's not active and up and running and working properly, and online with Uber, then I can't make a living. And the weekends especially are the most important part of that equation, especially when I had a shitty week, pardon my language. So, you try to remain as calm as you can. Again, if plan A doesn't work, you come up with a plan B, and that's what I did. I wasn't having any luck at the junkyard. I was not about to spend $300 on a side mirror, a piece of plastic. I know the value of $1, and it is not that. And so I said, okay, let me figure this out. There's got to be another way that I can get this mirror operational. And that's what you do. That's what you do. Not everybody is mechanically comfortable with tools and taking things apart and putting them back together again. I understand that. But for those of us that are, it's in our wheelhouse. It's one more option that we have available to us. So that's all I've really got to ramble about, guys. I will definitely make a wrap-up video this evening. Hopefully it's, normal time. I get a full night's work in. Nothing else catastrophic happens. Knock on wood. But thank you guys for your well wishes, and for everybody that was kind of rooting for me last night, hoping that I would get things turned around. If I'm not anything, I'm persistent, guys. That's the one thing you should know about me, is that I'm very much persistent. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. So that's a great lesson for all of us, guys. This is a learning lesson for all of us. Again, my mistakes become your good fortune. So, that's what this is about. Hopefully you guys know now, if something bad happens, just remember this video and remember what I went through these past 24 hours and say, okay, what did Mike do and what went wrong? Let me think about this real quick. Or shoot me a text and say, what do you think I should do? And we'll go from there. And I will say, the Uber driver that was the other end of this equation, he was a really nice guy. He didn't speak a word of English. And I want to say he was, of Russian descent or something of that area of the world. But he spoke zero English, very, very little. But he was such a nice guy. He was very, very nice and helpful, very friendly. And he had his son, who I guess spoke better English, actually called me last night and to check up on me and make sure I was okay. And no one was hurt. It was just a stupid piece of plastic. But it was really touching that his son, that he thought to tell his son to do that. And I told him, I said, if you guys see anything that's wrong with your car door, let me know. Let me know, because obviously if we do need to go through insurance, we can. And but that just shows that there's really good drivers out there, guys. For all the bad stories that customers give us about their horror stories with Uber, there's really good drivers out there. This guy was a really, really nice guy. And, I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad, his car's okay. Nobody was hurt, thank God. It was just a stupid side mirror. That's the stuff that matters, because you can fix cars. It's not that easy to fix people. So everybody have a great afternoon, and I will send out a video later on today. Talk to you guys later. Bye.